Hey, what's up, nerds? It's Shane with the guys at Magic, and I'm joined by Hunter once again. Hunter, say what's up.
What's up?
Today, we're going over the $300 upgrade for From Cute to Brute. Hunter did a great $100 upgrade, and now we're giving him more money, and you're going to do a bigger upgrade.
That's correct.
So, first and foremost, do you want to talk about the commander again and just kind of reiterate what the plan is for this deck?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk over the commander. Again, this is From Cute to Brute. This is the exclusive, only found at the secret layer. It's basically all cards that have a double face. So front and back cards. They kind of did something similar with the original commander deck for secret layer, which was the flipping of the coins, which is cool. So then they kind of doubled down and said, we'll just make an entire deck about flipping, and it doesn't really work. So that's why we're here to upgrade it. But the commander itself is Esika, God of the Tree. It is 1 and 2 green for a 1/4 legendary creature god. It's got vigilance. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. And it also says other legendary creatures you control have vigilance and tap it to add 1 mana of any color. While that's very cool, the backside is the Prismatic Bridge, which is a white, a blue, a black, a red, and a green for a legendary enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. What I want to do with this deck is really just put out that Prismatic Bridge and start just hitting haymakers off the top of my library and just swinging with damage. That's the name of the game. We're a legendary themed deck that just wants to hit for a lot of damage.
That sounds fantastic. Well, let's just jump right into the ads of the 300, man.
Yeah, so first and foremost, everything you see on the screen here is everything I'm keeping from the $100 list. If you guys haven't already seen the $100 upgrade to this Precon deck, go ahead and check the link in the description down below where you can go and watch that before this because this is a sequel. So there are a few cards missing from the 100 list, but we'll talk about that when we talk about removals. But let's go ahead and jump into the additions for this one.
The $100 was a great upgrade. We gave you more of a budget, though, so let's see what you're adding for the 300, man.
Yeah, so for 300, I wanted to hit more haymakers with the Prismatic Bridge, and I think these three right here on the screen are just what I'm looking for. The first one, Atraxa Grand Unifier, is 3, a green, a white, a blue, and a black for a 7/7 legendary creature Phyrexian Angel. It has Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink. And it says when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this hits the field, we look at the top 10, we just fill our hand with awesome stuff. It's going to be great. Also adding Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite. It is 5 and 2 white for a 4/7 legendary creature Praetor. It's got Vigilance. It says other creatures you control get +2/+2, and creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. So if we flip this off the Prismatic Bridge or we cast it, we are pumping all of our stuff. We're making our opponents' things a lot weaker. If our opponents are running maybe like a token-based strategy, this could just wipe their board completely when Elish Norn comes in. And they have to be mindful because this is a static ability. If they throw in something that is 2 toughness or less, it dies immediately. So Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite is a fantastic include. And another Praetor we're adding is Jin Cataxius, Progress Tyrant. It is 5 and 2 blue for a 5/5 legendary creature Phyrexian Praetor. It says whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. And whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter that spell. This ability only triggers once each turn. So all of our mana rocks and things like that, all of our spells, instants, sorceries, they're going to be doubled. And if your opponent's trying to run a board wipe or spot removal, that stuff's going to be countered if they play it first. So they have to be mindful of the things they play before because that first card is always going to get countered. And it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, dude, these are awesome cards to rip off the top with your commander, man. Well, those are some great includes for the first round of big boys. But you got any more big boys?
I do have more big boys. Matter of fact, I've got the biggest of boys because we're throwing in some of the biggest Eldrazi in the game. First up, Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. It's 10 generic mana for a 12/12 legendary creature, Eldrazi. It says when you cast this spell, draw 4 cards, and it's got Annihilator 4. In case you don't remember what Annihilator does, it's whenever this creature attacks, defending players sacrifices 4 permanents. And whenever Kozilek Butcher of Truth is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. And also, Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, is 11 generic mana for a 10/10 legendary creature Eldrazi. It says, whenever you cast this spell, destroy target permanent. It's got Indestructible, and it also has Annihilator 4. And it says, when Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. So, I understand that if we hit these off the Prismatic Bridge, we don't get that first trigger when it says when we cast. That is perfectly fine because Annihilator 4 is so backbreaking sometimes. If your opponent doesn't have any permanents except for lands, they have to sacrifice 4 lands. It's
Yeah.
going to absolutely destroy some people. And if they do run board wipes, I know Ulamog is indestructible, but if there is board wipes or is there spot removal to destroy, we're shuffling our entire graveyard back into our library. We can continue to hit all the big things that might have died, even this, with the Prismatic Bridge once again.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Eldrazi's added to this deck, dude. It's gonna be
Yeah, it
very mean.
makes things even scarier than they already are.
Very much so. Well, those are some big baddies. But what about some other big baddies in the Planeswalker variety?
Yeah, because the Prismatic Bridge also can hit Planeswalkers, we're throwing in more awesome Planeswalkers. We're adding Vraska Betrayal Sting. It is for a black and a black Phyrexian Planeswalker. It is completed, meaning that you can either pay the black or 2 life, but if you do play the 2 life, it is going to cost 2 less of loyalty counters. But it does start with a starting loyalty of 6 if you didn't use the Phyrexian life. It has a 0 ability that says you draw a card, lose a life, proliferate. It has a -2 that says target creature becomes a treasure artifact with tap, sack this artifact, add 1 mana of any color, and loses all other card types and abilities. And a -9, which is its ultimate, that says if target player has fewer than 9 poison counters, they get the number of poison counters equal to the difference. So, if we get this going, this is a fantastic card draw engine for Vraska. It's basically a +1 because we're proliferating. We're going to proliferate Vraska. And it's got that ability where you can just nuke something into a treasure. Make someone else's commander a treasure. Sorry about it. And on top of that, we can kill people with poison if we get to that ultimate. So Vraska, Betrayal Sting, got a lot of different things on here, and all of it is welcomed into this deck.
Just very versatile, very good.
Nicol Bolas, Dragon God, also coming in. Here is a blue, 3 black, and a red for a starting loyalty of 4. It says it has all loyalty abilities of all other planeswalkers on the battlefield. It has a +1 ability that says you draw a card. Each opponent exiles a card from their hand or a permanent they control. It has a -3 that says destroy target creature or planeswalker. And a -8 that says each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker loses the game. So Nicol Bolas Dragon God is one of the meanest planeswalkers, I think, in the game. It's got the exile ability as a plus, a minus to destroy something on the field, and a -8 just to make someone lose the game if they don't have their commander out or a different legendary. It's very cruel.
So you're telling me not to let Nicol Bolas ult? Got it.
Yeah, I don't like Nicol Bolas ult or you're dead.
Well, those cards are terrifying. Are you adding anything else?
Yeah, so because the Prismatic Bridge works so well, I'm throwing in things that make it even better, and that is the tutors. So Vampiric Tutor, Worldly Tutor, these two, because we are 5 color, I'm allowed to use a black one and a green one. And we can manipulate some stuff. So Vampiric Tutor is 1 black for an instant that says search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. You lose 2 life. Worldly Tutor is 1 green mana for an instant, says search your library for a creature card, reveal that card, shuffle your library, put the card on top of it. So we can hold priority on our turn as soon as that upkeep trigger happens for the Prismatic Bridge. Play this instead. Go ahead and get something giant that we want to put on top to hit with the Prismatic Bridge immediately. And that's fantastic. Or say that you are in a bad spot in the game. Vampiric Tutor, since you're allowed to get any card, you can go get a board wipe if you need it.
That's just dumb.
It's a
You're gonna
great
hold up.
way to make the Prismatic Bridge work.
Yeah, you're gonna hold up priority and just drop a Eldrazi on us. I'm gonna cry.
Just drop a bomb on them. Watch out.
Are we adding anything else in the enchantment or artifact department?
We are indeed. I didn't add any enchantments from the 100, but this enchantment has to be in the deck. We are 5 color, so it's very important. It is Smothering Tithe. 3 and a white for an enchantment. It says whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If the player doesn't, you create a treasure. So great way, a lot of the times when somebody starts their turn, they don't want to pay the 2 immediately because they want to spend the mana on their turn, which in turn gives you a treasure that taps for any color of mana. We need that. We're a 5 color deck. Speaking of being 5 colors, Mox Amber is going into this deck. It is 0 mana for a legendary artifact. It says tap it to add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. Because we are a legendary theme of the deck, we are going to have access to all of our colors when we have all of our cool stuff on the field.
Seems good.
And also, Sensei's Divining Top. It is 1 generic mana for an artifact. You can pay 1, look at the top 3 cards of your library, and then put them back in any order. You can also tap it to draw a card, and then put Sensei's Divining Top on top of its owner's library. So once again, if we want to, we can hold priority, go ahead and put the 3 cards back on top in the order we want to hit another giant bomb.
That is mean, dude.
Dude, it's super mean, and it's super fun.
I can imagine. I guess lastly, did you do any updates to the land?
The land base I did touch. I didn't touch it in the 100 because I said it was really good. And it still is good. So you can go out and go ahead and change the entire land base if you have the money. Put fetches, put shocks, put all the things that are really good. This is a very slow deck. I will tell you that right now. A lot of the lands they do, every single one can tap for a color, but some of them come in tapped. So be careful of that. Be wary. If you really want to get this to hum, change the entire land base up. But I am putting in Plaza of Heroes because we are a legendary theme. It is a land that you can tap it to add a colorless, or you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell, or you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. And it has another ability where you can pay 3, tap it, exile Plaza of Heroes, target legendary creature gains hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. So, this is a fantastic land, especially, like I said, we are a legendary theme deck, so we're going to be able to use this land specifically for any color pretty much.
Yeah, I think in this deck it makes a lot of sense. I think it's good in any EDH deck, honestly, for your commander. But it
It really
shines in your
is.
deck.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, is that all the additions for 300?
That is going to be all of the additions for the $300 upgrade.
It's a mean deck, dude.
Super mean.
Well, now we got to do the thing that we hate doing. What are going to be your cuts for making room for all these ads?
Yeah, so like I said before, we are doing the sequel to the $100 upgrade. So all of these cards that you see on the screen right now are the same exact cards that we took out from the $100 upgrade. They're staying the same. I didn't like them in the 100. I still don't like them in the 300. So if you wanted to see why I took these out, go ahead and watch the video of the $100 upgrade.
Right on. Well, now we got to make a little more room for some of the bigger, battier boys you got in there. So, what are the new cuts?
The new cuts. So, like I said, these two I just wanted to touch on briefly. These were my additions from the $100 upgrade. They are not making it to the $300 upgrade. I'm sorry if you guys got attached to these cards already, but here's the reason why. Captain Sisay, 2, a green, and a white for a 2/2 creature legend. You could tap it to search your library for a legend or legendary card, reveal that card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. It's a fantastic card if I really, really, really wanted to start casting things from my hand. But the bigger things that I'm throwing in here, I don't want to cast them. I want them to fly off from my library. So I'm not looking to add things to my hand. I just want to keep it in the deck. Heroes Podium, 5 generic mana for a legendary artifact. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other legendary creature you control. It also has another ability where you can pay X, tap it, look at the top X cards of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Heroes Podium did an ability that the same thing as Joda is doing, as well as that look at the top X cards of your library. We also have 2 other cards that do the exact same ability. So I felt like we don't need Heroes Podium to do the same stuff we're already doing with other cards. So these two are no longer going to make it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As far as the creatures that are not making the cut, we did put in giant creatures, so I felt like some giant creatures needed to be taken out. Otherwise, our curve on this deck would be too insane. So we can't just all have giant creatures. So these ones are coming out to make room for the ones that I thought were better. Triplicate Titan is 9 generic mana for a 9/9 artifact creature golem. It's got flying, vigilance, and trample, and when it dies, you create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token with flying, a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token with vigilance, and a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature with trample. It's very powerful. 9 mana for a 9/9. Flying, vigilance, trample. It's just it does more stuff when it dies, and I don't want it to die. And I don't know. The things that I added in here are just better than Triplicate Titan.
Agree.
Also, Sphinx of the Second Sun isn't going to make it either. It's 6/2 blue for a 6/6 that has flying. It says at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you get an additional beginning phase after this phase. The beginning phase just is the untap, upkeep, draw. So you just get to untap, upkeep, draw one more time. I don't know. It is a very good ability to keep your stuff untapped when you end your turn. But again, the cards we added, the Eldrazi, they're just way meaner, and I just think they're going to do a lot more work than Sphinx of the Second Sun. And Zatalpa Primal Dawn is 6 and 2 white for a 4/8 legendary creature Elder Dinosaur. It's got flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. I love this card. I'm a big dinosaur fan. This is in my dinosaur deck. But with just those abilities, I felt like it's not doing enough, whereas our other ones that we added are just hitting our opponent just even harder. And also another creature that's getting the cut here is Beast Whisperer. It's 2 green for a 2/3 creature elf druid. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Very to the point. It's a very good card, don't get me wrong. But in this deck, it just wasn't a legendary, and it's just we have other ways to card draw. You saw Vraska.
Plus, you're hoping not to really cast too many creatures.
Exactly that.
Well, those all made sense. What else we cutting?
I did want to say I'm sorry because I am cutting a card that had the brand new art specifically for From Cute to Brute for the Secret Lair. It's kind of one of the reasons people wanted to buy it because of this art. There's, I think, 5 cards, if I'm not mistaken, that had the cool art. I am cutting one of them. This is Bloodline Keeper. It is 2 and 2 black for a 3/3 creature vampire. It's got flying. You can tap it to create a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying. Has another ability, we can pay a black transform Bloodline Keeper. Activate only if you control 5 or more vampires. When it's flipped, it turns into Lord of Lineage. It is a 5/5 creature vampire with flying. It says other vampire creatures you control get +2/+2, and you can tap it to create a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying. This and one other creature were vampires in the deck. So to get that 5 vampires, you would just have to keep tapping this down to make the 2/2s, and it's just very slow in my opinion. And then when you flip, that's cool. Other vampire creatures you control get +2. Those 2/2s you made are now 4/4s, but it doesn't do anything else to our team, and this isn't legendary itself. I felt like this one was kind of an easy cut.
Yeah, maybe people will just cut this and throw it in a vampire deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Throw this into Markov or some cool that you like with vampires. The art is really cool,
Yeah, very.
but in this deck, it's not very cool.
And I saw you added 2 new planeswalkers. So, are you cutting any planeswalkers?
I am. I'm cutting one of the Arlens. This is Arlen, the Pack's Hope. It is 2, a red and a green. For a legendary planeswalker that has a starting loyalty of 4, it's got Daybound on it. It has a +1 that says, until your next turn, you may cast creature spells as though they had flash, and each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Has a -3 that says you can create 2 2/2 green wolf creature tokens. If it was nighttime, it would flip into Arlen the Moon's Fury. It has 4 loyalty with a +2 that says add a red and a green, and a 0 that says until end of turn, Arlen the Moon's Fury becomes a 5/5 werewolf creature with trample, indestructible, and haste. I love Arlen the Pack's Hope. This is a really good planeswalker. That +1 giving our creatures the ability to have flash and they come in with a counter. That's fantastic. But we are playing with a bunch of other players, and they can control when it's daybound and nightbound just by not casting a spell. It turns into nightbound, and that would suck because Arlen the Moon's Fury, I don't think is as good as that other side. So because I don't have complete control of which side it's flipping, this is getting the axe.
Understandable. I saw you add some artifacts, so are we cut any artifacts?
We are cutting some artifacts. We did add some mana rocks. The Mox Amber is going in the deck, so Altar of the Pantheon is coming out of the deck. It's a 3 generic mana for an artifact. It says your devotion to each color and each combination of colors is increased by 1. And you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. If you control a god, a demigod, or a legendary enchantment, you gain 1 life. It's very specific. This is a very good card if you're running gods. But this is not a god deck. This is a legendary deck. We don't really have too many gods, so we don't really care about devotion either. Dowsing Dagger is also not going to make the list. It is 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment. It says when it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 2/0/2 green plant creature tokens with Defender. Equipped creature gets +2/+1. And whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may transform Dowsing Dagger. Equip cost of 2. When it's transformed, it turns into Lost Veil. It's a land you can tap to add 3 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. I get it. I like the land side, don't get me wrong, but the front half, give your opponents just a couple little 0/2s, isn't backbreaking. But the equipped creature gets +2/+1. It isn't that powerful of an equipment. We're not really trying to do this. We have plenty of lands in the deck.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Is there anything else we're cutting?
Yeah, I'm getting rid of 2 sorceries here. I feel like these ones, I didn't really like them too much. Time wipe, 2 white and a blue sorcery. Return a creature you control to its owner's hand, then destroy all creatures. We got 2 other board wipes in the deck. I'm not really interested in time wipe. It's cool that you can bounce a card, but for 5 mana, I want to do something else with my mana. Harmonize, also 2 green sorcery, draw 3 cards. Slow, we have other card draw in the deck. For 4 mana, I'm not trying to draw too many cards because I want that Prismatic Bridge to really run wild.
Yeah, I feel that. Can imagine drawing 3 and you're like, well, those are my drawsies. Awesome.
Yeah.
And you did add 1 land, so are you taking anything out for that?
I'm swapping that 1 land for 1 land. This is Vivid Grove. It's a land, comes into play tapped with 2 charge counters on it. You can tap it to add a green to your mana pool, or you can tap it to remove a charge counter from Vivid Grove, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Plaza of Heroes is just better, doesn't come in tapped, and you can tap it for colors as long as you have a legendary, or you can spend it to cast legendary. It's just better, because eventually you're going to run out of charge counters, and it's only going to tap for green.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, is that all the cuts, man? Is that the upgrade?
That is it. That's all my cuts. That's all the additions. That is gonna do it for the From Cute to Brute.
Well, how much did you spend? We gave you $300, including your 100. Where'd you get to?
So the total after all the additions, including the $100 upgrade and the new additions, is $303.33. 33333.
Lucky number 333.
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad. We'll let it slide, man. For the upgrade you did, I think that it's worth it because it, like, again, even with the 100, you took a deck that really didn't know what it was doing and you kind of gave it a direction. So hopefully people will have fun with this.
Yeah, I did give it a direction, and that's I do like the fact, like, I liked what they were doing. It just didn't work in theory. Like, I get it. Double-sided cards are really cool, but if you throw every single double-sided card into a deck, you just kind of expect it to work, and it doesn't really work. So Esika, I think if you make this, like, I could make an entire Esika deck based on what I want to do with it, and you definitely can. But as far as the cards in this deck, if you go out and pick this deck up from Secret Lair, or if you pick it up on eBay or something like that, secondary market, use the cards whatever way you want. Take this upgrade and go with it. If you really wanted to keep that flip card, just keep it as a deck. A lot of people aren't saying that it's the best deck, and that's okay, but it's still fun. The legendary theme that I built into this, it makes it a lot of fun. If you guys wanted to check out the deck, check the description down below. You'll see the link to the Moxfield account. And you can just go ahead and play test it right there on your computer. See how this deck runs. It's a lot of fun.
Right on, man. Well, also, while they're down there, they can like and subscribe to the channel, man, if you liked what the upgrade did. Also, any feedback for Hunter, leave us a comment. I think Hunter loves reading it. He likes to see maybe there's cards he forgot or didn't think about. All of us over here are constantly trying to learn and get better at deck upgrades and deck building, so leave us a comment. In the description, you'll also find all of our social media. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, it's all going to be at Guys That Magic. So go ahead and follow us over there as well. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Peace.